Everyone, today's Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. The time is 2:01 p.m. Welcome to our weekly business meeting. Agenda, officially calling the meeting to order. Attending Commissioners Duncan and Filios. Commissioner Bill Brooks is excused. And at this time, we'll take 30 minutes of silence. Thank you. 30 seconds. Keep saying 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
You just want a nap.
I just wanted to. Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to the pledge. Jerry, would you lead us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, then. So moving on, do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do. So I move that we accept the amended agenda, changing item number 23 to proposed FY23 program of projects and FY22 full apportionment.
Okay. Oh, full apportionment. Okay.
Yeah, it's a partial listed in the agenda, and they got the information to make it a full.
Okay, fine. Thank you for that. Okay, then. So moving on, any more changes?
Item 15's been pulled, and item 27 we'll handle at the very end.
Okay, 15 out. Okay, got that. 27 at the end.
Agenda, do you have to vote on that?
I don't, it's,
No, not for moving things, right?
Okay.
We're good?
Are you actually changing?
so 23, it's listed as partial apportionment, but it's full.
Is there a reason for the change? It's emergency?
No.
Because it's, I mean, it's
It's
Well,
not,
in the front, it's to change the agenda because it's an amended agenda. They've got it posted 24 hours, not 48 hours.
48.
Okay, well, then we can just do a
I
partial.
want to, can we table it till next week?
Yeah, we can. I think so. We'll ask.
So do we need-
For the sake of accuracy, you may want to table it.
Sure. Chad, are you on the line?
Yeah, it's Chad and Kim here. Yep.
Hi. Either one of you, if Dave's saying because it's not an emergency and we didn't have 48 hours to make the agenda change, do you want us to just bring back item 23 for next week, or do you want to do the partial apportionment approval?
Well, we spoke with Pat Braden. This is Kim Riley for the record. This is actually time sensitive because we're waiting to publish this so we can get our information into the tip, which then feeds into the STIP. We already waited an extra week hoping that the full apportionment tables would come out, and they actually came out after we brought this in. So we're supposed to have these amounts to KMPO to feed into the Transportation Improvement Plan, which goes to ITD. We're supposed to have that information to them by the end of this week.
so it's a
And
pressing,
so we would,
That sounds like
Okay.
because we have to publish these amounts if you approve them in the paper following this meeting.
Okay.
I think we're fine, Kim.
you want to incorporate that into a motion to amend the agenda?
I move that we amend the agenda item number 23 to state proposed FY23 program of projects and FY22 full apportionment.
And I second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Filios?
Aye. And so the change is accepted. So moving on.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes, items 1 through 5.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Filios?
Aye, and the motion is carried. Moving on to the consent calendar, please.
I move we approve items 6 through 13.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios,
Aye, and the motion is carried. Payables list?
I move that we approve the payables for the week of April 4th through the 8th, 2022, in the amount of $1,222,969.06, along with jury panel payments in the amount of $7,179.43.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios,
Aye, and the motion's carried. Moving on to the business segment.
Okay, 15 pulled
Item
and
15,
16.
yeah, item 15 has been pulled. Item 16, bid,
Mr. Chairman,
who's this, please?
Pat Braden.
Yes, go right ahead, Pat.
I was just wanted to inquire as to why item 15 had been pulled.
Why it is pulled or is not pulled?
Why it had been pulled. Item 15, that's the proposed pond ordinance.
Yes, the staff did not tell me why number 15 was pulled. I don't know if Lieutenant Klinkefus can tell us about the public hearing for the pawnbrokers and dealers. Okay. It was Sergeant Crawford's item, so.
Right. I was just curious because that was advertised as a public hearing.
Sure. So, Pat, I don't know if you want to handle it.
Yeah, I can't.
I
speak
can
to
handle it. That's why I'm here.
I don't know what it's about, so.
Okay. Yeah, staff didn't tell me, so if we just, it's,
I'll call and find out.
Pat's willing to
There's no one
handle
to
it.
address it.
Well, my point being, if there's anybody there to speak to that, they should be allowed to speak because it is a noticed public hearing.
Okay. Anybody in the audience here for item number 15,
15.
which is the ordinance 575, pawnbrokers, secondhand dealers, and recyclers?
Anyone wish to speak to that? No,
Nope.
no one online either.
Okay, yeah, so we can, now that that's, that formality's been accomplished, we can bring that back when the sheriff's office feels
Okay.
comfortable doing so.
Thank you, Pat.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's ready for consideration.
Okay.
So I'll just wait to hear back from the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then we'll move on to item 16.
Yeah.
Okay, bid award, bid rejection for the Swinnerton Building or SRA Building FAA AIP project number 3-16-0010-052-2021 Airport. Stephen, please.
Commissioner Stephen Kjergaard, for the record, this is just the official rejection of the Swinnerton bid, so that we're officially moving forward for rejecting their bid.
Okay, and is that because of price, was it?
239% over engineer's
It
projection.
was $1,000 a square foot for admin. It was $550 a square foot for the SRE portion.
Okay, enough said. Motion.
I move that we reject the bid for Swinnerton Builders regarding the SRE building.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios,
Aye. Motion's carried. 17. Termination of ground lease AAL-2014-0030. Not building the hangar, and this is Plummer Forest Products, Inc. Go ahead, Stephen.
Commissioner Stephen Kjergaard, again, for the record, this is an item, a hangar lease that an individual is turning back to the airport. They were attempting to build, but they do not wish to build any longer.
Okay,
And they were past their deadlines of when they were, so we were pushing them.
thank you. Motion.
I move that we terminate ground lease AAL 2014030 with Plummer Forest Products.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios,
Aye. Motion's carried. Item 18. Termination of ground lease AAL 2020-996. They purchased a hangar instead of the building, and this is Hayden Hangar LLC. Stephen.
Commissioners, item 18 and 19 are combined, if you'd like to take.
Yeah,
those
please
together.
do. Uh-huh.
This was a lease, a hangar was sold to, from Hayden Hangar LLC to Crystal Mountain Revocable Trust, or Living Trust, excuse me, on the airport. The lease rate is $3,316.92.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the termination of ground lease AAL 2020-996 with Hayden Hanger LLC and approve ground lease AAL 2022-900 for hangar development for Crystal Mountain Revocable Living Trust.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion's carried. Thank you, Stephen. Item 20, engagement and fee agreement for independent legal review investigation expenditures. Sonia Lee R. Nutch for the Sheriff's Office, the Civil Division. Darren?
You want to handle it?
Commissioners, it doesn't sound like Darren's on the line. I do recall meeting with the board, discussing this issue. If the commissioners recall, it was concerning
Yes.
an investigation.
Yes. With a cap, I think, that we established as well.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so let's go.
All right, I move that we approve the engagement and fee agreement for independent legal review and investigation expenditure with Sonia Lee R. Nutch.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion is carried. Item 21, 2022 invasive species inspections contract. With invasive species inspection, our Sheriff, Lieutenant Klinkenfuss, welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lieutenant Wilson, please for the record. Once again, we're presenting a memorandum of agreement with the Idaho State Department of Agriculture to provide law enforcement controls for the invasive species investigation.
It was on, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
You want him to repeat it? What? Go ahead.
Okay, one more time. Once again, we're presenting the memorandum of agreement with the Idaho State Department of Agriculture to provide law enforcement patrols to the invasive species check stations within Kootenai County. So it'll pay for wages and for mileage for patrols for those specific areas
Right.
based on overtime.
Thank you. Motion?
I move that we approve the 22 invasive species inspections contract.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 22, thank you, Lieutenant Klinkenfuss. Item 22, annual audit of the 124 funds and budget expenses. This is Ide Bailey, and it's saying 911, I guess, so this is our, I'm sorry?
I think Alan is due to speak to this.
Alan, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Alan Mallory, 911 COM admin. We are seeking today for board approval to contract Ide Bailey to perform our annual audit of the 124 enhanced funds. This is a requirement set by Idaho Code Title 31, Chapter 48.
Okay, thank you. Motion?
I move that we approve the annual audit of the 124 funds and budget expenses.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion's carried. Item 23, which was amended, board approval request, Kootenai County Public Transportation, proposed fiscal year 23 program of projects, and fiscal year 22 full apportionment. And this is for our Resource Management Office. Chad?
Actually, this is Kim Riley, and I will speak to this. This is our proposed program of projects for fiscal years 23 through 27. Specifically, we have our 2022 FTA 5307 apportionment in the amount of $2,088,186. This shows where we would allocate those funds, with the remainder being booked to the annual future capital and ops. And then you can see at the bottom there, that amount carries forward, and you can see in year 2026, we start drawing down on that fairly heavily. We've spoken to you before that we often have to bank our funds to make our larger purchases, so that's what's happening here. So we are presenting this to you for your approval. If you approve of this proposed program of projects, we will then publish it in the paper, and the information will carry forward into the Transportation Improvement Plan and to ITT for the STIP, state transportation improvement plan, which is mandatory for us to apply for our 5307 funds.
Okay, so Kim, with this roughly almost 2.1 million, is there any thank you. Is there any indication how much of this is federal and/or state funding?
That's all federal. It's our federal 5307
All federal.
apportionment.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, motion?
I move that we approve the Kootenai County Public Transportation proposed FY23 program of projects and the FY22 full apportionment.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion's carried. Item 24, financial budget purchase approval per policy 930, election systems and software with ES&S, which I guess is the vendor. Asa Gray, our elections manager, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Asa Gray for the record. So this approval is for a bill in the amount of $12,664.15. It is the charge for the layout of our ballot faces for our May primary election. Usually this is not something you'll hear me come in front of you for approval for, but because of the number of ballot faces with our 4 parties and our nonpartisan ballot occurring across the county for this election, the cost is higher than it normally is. So because it is over the $10,000 amount, I would respectfully request that you approve our payment of this.
Okay. Any questions? No. Motion?
I move that we approve the purchase per policy 930 of the ES&S ballot face layout.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion's carried. Thank you, Asa. Item 25, financial budget, and this is a budget increase request for the Office of Emergency Management. Sarah?
Hi, good afternoon. Sarah Lafredo with OEM for the record. So back in December, we started a drive to disseminate preparedness kits to financially impaired households. With that, we received a monetary donation in the amount of $1,200. And because it's considered restricted donations per the auditor's office, I'm here to ask for your approval to increase our budget so that we can spend those funds on items for this year's preparedness kit drive.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the budget increase request with Office of Emergency Management to include the $1,200 in donation amount.
Yeah. Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion's carried. Thank you, Sarah. Item 26, Fourth Amendment to ICAC MOU, which is a Memorandum of Understanding with amended Appendix A, Office of the Idaho Attorney General. Julina for our auditors. Thank you.
Hi, Julina Hilder for the record. I'm just here today to ask you to approve the Fourth Amendment. Nothing changed in the MOU except for the Appendix A, and there was a decrease in the workers' comp rate, so his loaded rate went down. His loaded rate went down 85 cents an hour, so we didn't want to overbill the Attorney General's office. We're just asking you to approve the
Okay. Thank you. Motion.
I move that we approve the Fourth Amendment to the ICAC MOU, amending Appendix A.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Carried. Thank you, Julina. Are we going to move 27 to the end?
Yep.
Okay.
So we got 28.
And we'll come back to that. 28, Ameriben Supplemental Compensation Analysis Agreement and Funding Request. And Ameriben did the wage study for us. Human Resources, Sylvia, please.
Yes, Sylvia Proud for the record, HR. We have engaged with Ameriben to do a wage study, and we started that back in October. Since that time, they have completed their final report, but we had received information that there were some changes to the 2022 wages for Spokane County because they were, at the time of the report, they were still in negotiations on some collective bargaining agreements. And in order for Ameriband to update that data, they've provided us with a supplemental agreement. We have confirmed as of last Friday, after reviewing many of their collective bargaining agreements and phone calls to them, they did give me a call back last Friday, verified that collective bargaining agreements have been approved. They've submitted them to me. So what we'd like to do is forward those to Ameriband to update the numbers within the study. We're projecting the cost of up to $1,000 to make those changes and just update all the reports. They did a summary report for us and a detail report. And so when we got the report, we also needed to be reviewing it, and we're in discussions with them of some adjustments in terms of making sure everything's on each of the reports so that they align. So that's that review. So I would be asking for option 1 of the Ameriband agreement to be approved, possibly with a funding request as well of an additional $1,000 to complete the study.
Okay.
So Dena, I don't mind doing contingency, except I'm sure that Prosecutor McHugh would probably have an extra $1,000 left over at the end of the year. So how do you want us to? Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense? Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve the Ameriband Supplemental Compensation Analysis Agreement and funding request of up to $1,000 for option 1.
Actually, yeah.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 29, tax deed bid AIN 114586, Party of Garver.
All right, so this is a sealed bid, and I will open that in just a second. The community development asked that it only be conveyed to a contiguous property owner because of the small-shaped lot. However, I've asked them to get in touch with the city of Harrison to find out if it is buildable or not.
Okay.
Because I understand Mr. Garver is not a contiguous property owner. And so what I will probably suggest is we notice receipt of the bid and then go on to
Legal review.
So, all right. So this is a sealed bid from Joshua Garber of Coeur d'Alene, and it is in the amount of $4,400 for AIN 114586. So I recommend that we acknowledge receipt and touch base with community development and legal.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye, and the motion's carried. Thank you. Nick Snyder for Resolution 2022-28 to surplus equipment and asset deletion for snow groomers. Go right ahead, Nick.
Is your microphone on?
Yep.
Thank you. Nick Snyder for the record. Commissioners, before you is a standard surplus and asset deletion resolution necessary to retire some equipment for the snow groomer program. We have a 2003 truck mounted sander and a 1998 GMC pickup that will be sold at auction, and the pickup will be collected by ICRIM.
Okay. Motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2022-28, which is the surplus of equipment and asset deletion, and authorize chairman to sign the title.
No. Second.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Philios?
Aye. Motion carried.
You want to
Thank-
sign that for him?
Yeah. Go, Nick. Moving on, item 31, Part 139, study request discussion.
We received sometime in the past month or so a request from the Coeur d'Alene Airport Association to do a study on what the 139 designation costs the county. So I'm only bringing it up to say, is this board interested in doing a study or not? I think would be good to understand what the cost is, and I'm not in favor of doing away with the 139 certification. I'm just wondering, because we got a public request, if it would be something we would entertain.
So who would conduct this?
A third party.
Okay.
And so Stephen, we would talk to Stephen about it and decide the RFP. So we'd go out for request for proposal to figure out like that. And we can also put it on the next airport update. But I wanted to get back with the association to let them know if we would consider it or not.
Stephen, did you care to comment?
To me, it goes back to the same question of what level of service do you want to provide to as an airport. As I said previously, if you drop 139, I can cut $500,000 out of my budget pretty easily. If you keep the same level of service, you're probably only cutting about 50,000. It just depends on which level of service you want to provide.
So what's the downside if we eliminate 139?
If you look at the money that we've received, because we're a 139 airport, in my opinion, compared to other busy airports in Idaho, we double pretty much every other airport from federal money.
Okay.
So, and you look at our major developers on the field right now, Stancraft, Empire, those major employers, they like us keeping 139.
And once again, I'm not suggesting that we get away from 139, I'm merely presenting the requests that came before us to say, can we just have a cost analysis?
That depends, like I said, if the question they're going to ask is, well, what level of service are you wanting to provide? If you're going to go completely away from it, you're looking very minimal staff needs. I mean, that's where most of our budget truly falls into. But if you're keeping the same level of service, there's not much cost difference. So that's my conversation. My point is what does the board want to do?
Okay, so basically, how long does the cost analysis take?
I don't know I don't even know if there's anybody out there. I have to find somebody or find a couple people that even do it.
So you know what I would say? Why don't you go out, check it out, see how long, how much, and report back. How's that?
It's fine.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Wait till the
But
end.
it would have to be
What would a
public comment. So just,
Okay, so let's move on. Another discussion item, which is the opioid settlement funds.
yes, and this is not anything to take action on in the near future. But what I wanted to know is if this board would entertain potentially using some of those opioid funds to also help some community organizations that would be eligible for those funds.
I'm fine with it.
Okay?
Okay. So we can move on from there. That was a good gesture, by the way. Thank you. Kootenai County, how much are we getting? Do you know?
364,000.
What is it?
We
received 50,000
already.
last year.
Yeah.
Should get about 350 more.
Another 350.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Groundbreaking is
Thursday, 2 days from now. Yeah. Yeah. So when that happens, this is why I'm bringing it up, and I don't know if you fully said the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Fire Station 4 funds. The 350,000,
Okay, so my question was on the opioid.
oh, I'm sorry, we don't know.
Let's back, we don't know. Oh, okay, fine.
We don't know at all.
All right, let's move on to Kootenai County. That's the 350,000?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So this board just needs to decide where that money will end up, because they are going to be making payment probably sometime in the next 30 days.
Okay. So we need to decide, we're not going to do that today because it's a
Correct.
discussion item. Okay.
Correct. Yep, but I want to bring it back before the board so you guys can start thinking about it. And like I said, the fairgrounds has requested that funds to go into their capital project
Okay.
for grant matches
yeah,
and for
yeah.
capital buildings.
Fair enough. Okay, so we'll defer this to what? What do you think? Are you thinking next week?
We can actually put it on for our next airport update. Jerry, do you have that date?
You mean fair board
Fair.
update?
What did I say? Airport? Oh, I got airport on the brain. Yeah. Actually, I think I can look it up here. I have my calendar open. It's usually the 4th
Looks like
Tuesday.
June 21st.
So that's your
Oh,
next.
it's the quarterly.
We do a quarter.
Yeah, so we're going to have to decide before then, probably.
All right, so we can make a decision.
Yeah, we'll put it on a
We'll-
business
we'll
meeting.
Put it on a business meeting, okay. So we'll just,
With the additional 50,000.
We can always talk about that. Sure.
we should probably include it in the discussion, yes. Okay, so let's get through do you want to get through the status update? That's pretty quick.
Very quick, because tomorrow is our meeting for facilities expansion with LCA. And then Bill is not here to tell us if he met with Wally for airport update lease. Sorry, Tina, if I'm going too fast.
No, go right ahead.
And then our financial snapshot will be the first week of May, and
First
that'll be
week
our
in May.
quarterly report. And then today, I think we have enough time for Dena to go ahead and walk us through the CAFR. But maybe you want to take public comment
That's what I was
first?
thinking, yeah, let's take public comment first, and then this way, folks, I'm sorry?
They can do that too.
You know, open that up again.
Yes. Can we have public comment before and after the CAFR?
Well, sure,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Okay, so okay.
Keeping
let's-
us on the straight and narrow.
Let's proceed to, I presume that the public comment after the CAFR will be on the CAFR. So
Correct.
why don't we proceed with public comment now on anything to do with our agenda? Anybody wish to speak? Go right ahead.
Green light means it's on.
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Steve Anderson for the record. Apologize for the interruption there. I thought since we were
No,
the
you're
one-
fine.
ones that proffered up the resolution and there was discussion on it, that just as the AD was requested to clarify some things that we might have been at the same time.
You're good, you're fine.
Pardon me?
Go
You're
ahead.
fine. Go right ahead.
So I'm speaking on behalf of the Coeur d'Alene Airport Association today, and I hope that I can be done in 3 minutes, but if I'm not, I ask that maybe they can, the other members can offer up some of their time so that I can complete my discussion with you.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
What we're asking for really is nothing more than just responsible oversight of the expenditures and operations at the Coeur d'Alene Airport. Now, I realize that you folks inherited Part 139 and probably knew nothing about it until it was brought up a month or so ago, that even there was a certificate at the airport or what that meant. But the truth of the matter is that even though in the past there have been 3 commercial scheduled airline operations at the Coeur d'Alene Airport, they were prior to Part 139. Part 139 came into effect in 1998 and has continued on since then, with no question as to what it is that we're offering under Part 139. So we don't know, the association is not outrightly against Part 139, and I think it would be inappropriate to accept that Stan Kraft and the other FBO there are in favor of Part 139 unless they come forward and explicitly tell you that, as opposed to having a hearsay from the director. Our meeting with Stan Kraft said that they're open to discussion about 139. They'd like to know what's going on too. No one really knows what the delta is between operating the airport as a Part 139 versus you folks deciding what it is that's necessary to maintain a first-rate airport that serves all of the purposes it's currently serving, but under your discretion to do that. So we don't know, for instance, whether or not the new snowplow equipment that now requires a new snow removal equipment building and requires a new admin office and those types of things would be required if it was under your direction. But we also know that we also believe, with all due respect to the AD, that the difference between the $500,000 that he threw out that you could save if you just went to a de minimis type operation at the airport versus trying to maintain the quality that you currently are, that you only get a $50,000 savings. That's the number that we're looking for. That number coming from him is biased in our opinion. You wouldn't want us to throw out the number because we might bias it in the other direction, which is why we asked for an independent review of that. Now, I think it's pretty apparent what we're asking for, and I've racked my mind to try to come up with an analogy that makes sense in just a common sense way to all of us. And I put myself in the position of a private individual that wants to go out and build a residential home and go through the permitting and licensing process to get that reviewed and approved by the county. Now, for residents, there's certain codes and standards and requirements that you make. But if you arbitrarily said, you know, we're going to make all of the residential buildings be commercial grade, so you're going to have off-street access similar to a commercial, you're going to have parking, you're going to have AD, disabled access to the house, you're going to have to use different structural materials. We all know, common sense tells us that would be extremely much more expensive. And it wouldn't prevent me as a homeowner to go ahead and construct at commercial standards if that's what I wanted, if I so choose to do that. But you have to ask the question, why? What am I getting out of it if I never intend to have it used as a commercial operation? And for the foreseeable future, no one that I know of is suggesting that we're going to have scheduled passenger service into the Coeur d'Alene Airport, or we're going to have large non-scheduled commercial carriers come into the airport. Now, Stephen has told me personally that there has been an occasion when a basketball team came in, brought their players into Coeur d'Alene because it was closer than International, which I scratched my head on that because we're certainly no closer to Gonzaga than International is, or Phelps Field. So it makes me scratch my head as to why that would, and even if it was, that's not really a non-scheduled passenger service. That's a football or a basketball team. So, you know, we've got other non-Part 139 examples that we can use. The Phelps Field Airport has 2 runways. It has a lot of traffic. I don't have the numbers in front of me as to how many activities they have there compared to Coeur d'Alene, but they have a control tower there, and they're a first-rate facility. And no one's holding the Part 139 hammer over their head. Our thought is that local control and local decisions about what is truly needed and what's not, is the position that you folks ought to be in to be able to make those types of decisions. I guess I had another point here, but you've seen the things that I've read into the record here, and I don't want to plow that ground over again, but again, we would like to know what we're paying for, and if we truly would need to reduce service in order to maintain the same quality that we've got. Whether you guys decide the grass can only be 6 inches tall or 12 inches tall at the hangars, I mean, seems to be a kind of a question that it isn't rocket science, and it isn't going to affect the operations out there. We want the airport to continue to be first rate. That's first and foremost in our mind, but we don't want to be paying or have the taxpayers subsidize things that we don't need at the airport. And so if you've got any additional questions of me on whatever else that I had thought that I wanted to say, must not be as important as what I originally thought.
Thank you. I'm good.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Leslie, you need to leave at 2:50.
Yeah, so we still have time. It's not going to take 10 minutes to go through the CAFR.
Okay.
And I would welcome sitting down side by side with Stephen to where you could do you could ask your questions. Maybe this isn't the appropriate place to do that, but we see the world differently than the AD does, and And you folks ought to be able to hear both sides. So.
Appreciate that. Okay, so Stephen's going to look into the cost and the time frame required for the 139 study, so at least we can explore that seriously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Ann, come forward. How are you?
Good to see everyone.
Good to see you.
Just along that Part 139 piece, just a suggestion. While we're sitting here, I just Googled 139 consultants. And I'm sort of the opinion that maybe the board selects someone instead of the AD coming with the cost and price, so that we have an independent look. Or we, whether it's the association, a combination, so that we get a more independent look and it isn't just jaded by our AD.
Sure. So typically, depending on what the cost is, we'll go out for request for proposal, and then people will give us proposals, and then it is the board who decides.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify
yeah.
that. All right, thank you.
Ann. Did you want to move on to the CAFR?
Yeah, if there's.
You want it? Yeah,
Sure.
Come right up. Yeah.
My name is Josh Barber. I submitted that bid.
Oh, yes.
Could you just repeat what's going to happen next again?
Okay, so our process in order to sell one of these tax deed properties is we go through community development, and they let us know if it's just a sliver or if it's a buildable parcel. Because this is in the city of Harrison, we have to talk to the city of Harrison.
Okay.
Because if it is not a buildable parcel, then we're probably not going to sell it to a non-contiguous owner. So you got to have property touching the property if it's not buildable.
I don't intend on building on it.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it could make a difference, so we can take that into consideration. What would be the purpose, if I can ask?
It would just be like a day. The city of Harrison allows for a 7-day non-residential temporary residence.
Okay.
Temporary residence for 7 days. Be technically a camping spot.
Oh, okay.
I want to
Okay.
preserve it.
Yeah.
So it stays natural to match the aesthetic of Harrison.
Okay, so you just want to dry
Kind of a
camp?
last-ditch effort to own a piece of the place I grew up in.
Sure. Well, thank you. That's actually going to be helpful for us as we move forward. So you probably could expect it on next week's business meeting, and I will put a note on there to make sure we call you to let you know.
Okay.
Same time next Tuesday, 2 p.m.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, you want to go to the CAFR?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Dena, we're ready for you. Keith? So this is moving back up on the agenda. This is item 27, financial budget to present the fiscal year 2021 annual comprehensive financial report. This is called the CAFR. Go right ahead.
Yes.
And is there an action item?
No.
No.
Just
There's
discussion.
no action item, just discussion.
Go right
So, I don't know if you have your CAFRs with you.
We do.
So we did provide a map of the pages that we'll be covering. So I will just give a quick introduction, and then I'm going to let Keith dive in to explain the pages that we chose that we thought you would find interesting. Keith is the chief producer of this document. This also embodies what our the results of our annual audit, our annual financial audit. So this gives a comprehensive view of the financial performance and status of the county for the fiscal year 2021 that ends last September. So there's audited financial statements in here in the first part, and then there's other information that's required that we disclose, and then there's statistical information as well. So it's packed with all kinds of useful information. This is also posted out on our website. Any public can read it at any time, and we have several years, at least a decade out there, of annual reports out there for the public to peruse and see how we've been doing. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Keith, and he'll take you into the details.
Yeah, so as Dena explained, we provided kind of a roadmap for you, and we hope it, provides information and kind of a map in terms of what you would be of interest to you as decision makers, and also might answer questions that the public would come to you with. So just to let you know, we'll start real quickly at looking at the table of contents, which is about 3 pages in. To let you know, what our outside auditors, in terms of what they look at, are looking at just kind of a finite portion of the document in front of you. They're looking at the basic financial statements that start on page 30 through about page 79 in here. So if you look at that, it's a pretty small section of the overall document that our auditors Eide Bailly look at. The rest of the sections, they certainly review, and they essentially audit by exception. Mm-hmm. If there's something in those other sections, such as the MD&A or the statisticals, that do not agree to the basic financial statements, they're going to flag it and say, hey, this doesn't agree, what's going on, and we would get it updated. So, but yeah, the opinion that they provide on page 9, so we can go there. This is Eide Bailly's opinion over the financial statements of the county. That if you were to go through this 3 pages of what their opinion is, actually on the top of page 10, and it's basically is just their basic financials, is basically an opinion, and it's an unmodified opinion over the basic financial statements. So,
That's the best one you can get.
yes, unmodified is the best. So, so there's, in the map there, in terms of the sections that are in this document, we went through the intro and the audit opinion. We'll go in, I wanted to highlight something about in the MD&A. There's some good charts on page 22 that I want to draw your attention to, and that's what our property tax. It's a good visual of what our property taxes are covering, and on the graph there at the top, you see that the public safety at $30 million is the largest part of what our tax dollars are paying for, followed at $10 million by general government, and then the other small portion is health and welfare at a little under $2 million there. So good page to look at to get an overall idea of what our property tax dollars are covering. So getting into the basic financial statements, kind of the meat of where the county is on page 30. So the basic financial statements, which go from page 30 through page 41, that is the meat of everything that's occurred in the county. So it covers the primary government. If you look on page 30, the columns there line out. This is a snapshot of everything in the government except the fiduciary accounts, which I'll cover shortly in a little bit. But if you look at the columns on page 30, the governmental activities combine everything we do, with the exception of solid waste, which is in the second column, the business type activities. So you get a total there, and then our component units are covered on that page as well. So if you want to look at a snapshot of the county as a whole, this is a really good balance sheet to look at on page 30. Now, one thing about this document, it's the only part of the basic financial statements that show our long-term assets and liabilities. So if you were to, the capital assets there are broken out between land and depreciable assets. So it kind of looks at the county like we were a for-profit business. And so those long-term assets and long-term liabilities are listed on page 30. And likewise, if you wanted something akin to an income statement for, that would be page 32, or 31 and 32 are
One
the
big
statement of
report
activity.
Across 2 pages.
Let me ask you a question. Should we set up a separate meeting for this?
You may.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to go through these items, and there are quite a few, you've got about 24 here.
Okay.
I think we might do greater justice if we did that. What do you think, Leslie?
Yeah, that's fine.
You want to do that?
Works for me.
Sure.
Is
Okay.
there a timeline here that we need?
No, basically, we wanted to provide you just an overview of, give you a map to go through the document. The pages are lined out on the bottom there, and then we can schedule another time.
Okay, so why don't we schedule something for next week? Does that work?
Sure, and we could put it on the status update. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a business meeting item.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could do it like the financial snapshot. It would
Yep,
just be
yep.
enhanced.
That'll be good. For next week, then? Cool, thank you. Appreciate it. Because I know that Commissioner Duncan needs to go as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, public comment on the CAF.
Yeah. Is there any comment, any public comment on the CAFR itself? Anything, anybody want to say about the financial? No? Jonathan? Nothing? Okay, so I've got 2:57, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.